kind of.
How do you do that? How do you stay in the middle?
I guess I consciously, like, it's funny because a big part of it is making the conscious decision to not allow myself to attach to certain ideologies. Like the moment I feel like I'm trying to attach to this idea, I consciously like do my best to be aware of that and say, oh, wait a minute, Cole, you're starting to like attach to this. You got to kind of detach. And a good way to do that is look to the other side. Yeah, like I'm subscribed to like a lot of really liberal channels, and I explore all these ideas, and it's I forgot who said this. I don't remember who said this, but someone was saying, if you find yourself to be very conservative, read a super liberal book. Like read a good one, a really renowned book that's like super liberal. Read it. It's hard to like disagree with it sometimes because they go into the same depth that someone that's super conservative would go into. So I just try to stay balanced, and I try to like, I guess I would say, as cheesy or cliche as it sounds, compassion, like trying to have compassion, like I really try to have as much compassion as I can for anyone. And when I come across someone that is saying things that I don't agree with, or even if they're being a fucking asshole completely, I try to remember and remind myself that a lot of the time when someone is acting that way, it's because they're hurting in their own life somehow. There's something going on with them that's causing them to feel the pain, that's causing them to want to be that way. Have compassion and just kind of understand that. But it's both ways. Like I just try to like decide and kind of be aware of it. It's impossible to be balanced. I mean, it's impossible. You can't be like completely balanced. There's certain things, but just being aware that I believe it isn't healthy to be unbalanced, like to be completely on one side or completely on the other side. I think it's not healthy. I think you got to kind of have that balance. So what were we saying? I'm sorry.
No,
I can go off on these tangents.
No, we're all good. I would point something out, that an area where I stand pretty firmly is that I think it's important to, at least for the time being and for this foreseeable future, to have the outstandings on each side.
Yeah. And it's never going to not be there.
Yeah.
People are always going to be like that.
If you wouldn't have had a civil rights movement without people on the far edge of there.
You're making a really good point. Yeah. That's a good point.
So I have a lot I have reverence towards the people in the same thread that you're talking about, keeping balanced. I have respect and reverence towards the people who I might not agree with, who I might see as going overboard. I try to maintain the understanding that without those people on whichever side on the out, we might fall off a balance.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really, really good point, actually. I think that's a really good point that not only is it impossible, there's always going to be people like on the edge pushing it, but it is very true that in order to like innovate and expand, you do have to go out to the edge, right? Like the whole chaos and order thing, like Jordan Peterson always talks about, maybe the people that are extreme leftists that a lot of people in the IDW would disagree with. Some of those people are pushing the boundaries and opening up doors and stuff, which is very important. It's a very good point.
Yeah, I think the response to want to put up a guard and be defensive against that is totally justified because of the platforms that exist.
Yeah, very true.
Because of the time we're in, whereas 30 years ago it might not have been so much of a danger, whereas now we don't know if in the next 10 years voting is going to change over to a computer, and the people who are most proficient on the computer are going to have the most influence. We don't know where all that's going. So I think people are they're in the right place to feel like wanting to defend the balance, right? Whether or not they know that's what they're doing. I think, I lost that last
No, it's
I think
fine.
it's pretty fun how watching myself lose trains of thought, but it's all
Totally
good.
fine, dude. That's one like thing about doing this kind of podcast that I think is valuable is we're being real. You know, we're being real. Like we're being honest and real. We're not gonna like try to cut it and make it some perfect little molded thing. We're just being honest and real. So, but I agree with you. It, you know, definitely. I think it's important. Like I think I was just thinking this as you were saying that. I'm curious to get like get your opinion on it, but like it's almost like just having the understanding of the I lost my train of thought too just now. I think like I think part of it is not hating the other side, right? Like that seems to me like to be a pretty big problem with all of this polarization, is that it makes sense. There are going to be people that are extreme on both sides. There's going to be people wanting to defend the balance. There's going to be people wanting to defend their side. But it seems like where I feel like the problem starts to come is when they start hating the other person. Like when your ideology kind of possesses you so much to the point where you actually like resent the other person. Because you can have your firm beliefs, but why do you have to like resent someone else who doesn't agree with it, you know? Like I think that's where a lot of the problem starts to come in with all this stuff.